You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes! Episode 160, 160 episodes of MinneZona Sports Live. It is like, wow, man, crazy. Without further ado, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. McElhen, a.k.a. Matty C, a.k.a. etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul Volt, the Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
160. It just felt like the other day that we were just talking about episode 150, let alone now we're at 160. True. Still more episodes and a lot of great TV shows out there, and the fact that we're still out here doing the thing as best we can, no problems here whatsoever. Looking forward to another great show as always.
You know it, and with 160 episodes, that means we got to talk about some things. There's been some recent news regarding Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson, especially with the back and forth that he has with Jairealexander has been reignited here. So we're going to get into that for Tater Tot Hot Take. I do want the zoners to really chime in on this tonight, and because it's there's a couple things I want to bring up. I think there's some stats that we need to look at with Justin Jefferson versus Jairealexander, and we need to kind of just look at the whole deal here and see what we can make out of this whole thing too. So that'll be tonight, and then after that we're talking Roycelewis. He's back. Let's go. Definitely need that, especially the Twins leading in the division. Who actually they're over 500. How about that? We'll talk about how they haven't been too bad lately. So, a little positive talk with our Minnesota Twins tonight as well. And then tonight we're doing some table topics. We got to do some table topics. It's been a while. Sure. We got 3 really good ones this week. Make sure that you chime in with those because those are a lot of fun. So, we will do table topics. And after that, ARA, baby, let's go. We got a lot going with ARA tonight. A lot of football stuff, some baseball news as well. So, a lot coming up tonight. So, Voldy, let's just get into it. Let's get to some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
It's hot, it's fresh, it's right out of the oven. It's Tater Tot Hot Take. Our first hot take tonight is concerning Jaire Burnt Toast Alexander. And the reason why I say that about Mr. Burnt Toast Alexander is because there's been a lot of trash talk as of late. Ever since January 2nd, 1st, whatever it was, when the Vikings played the Packers and absolutely got thumped. We all know the history. Obviously, Jaire said that Jefferson's big game that week 1 last season was a fluke, and then proceeded to kind of say some stuff, and they go into this game against the Packers, already won the division, already going to the playoffs, and basically Justin Jefferson only had a one reception, 15 yards, and then there was a pass interference. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you watch the game or not, that was pass interference and Jaire Alexander doing the gritty right after. Because we all know the refs really enjoy giving the Packers what they want at Lambeau Field. Oh, yeah. So there's that going on with that. So Justin Jefferson responded to that. Here is the quote, if you guys have not read and or heard it yet. He said, basically Justin Jefferson said, I'm not worried about him. If these ads stop popping up on me, I can actually read this stupid thing. All right, it's just him talking. Nobody's really worried about him, Jefferson said. They had their intentions to take me out of the game. Everything about that day was to take me out of the game, to not let me touch the ball, to do things to really take me out of my game. At that point in the season, we had already solidified in the playoffs. Ding! We already had won the division. Ding! I didn't even play the whole game. Ding! But you can't call a 180-yarder a fluke. That's something that's not a fluke. You can't just walk up on 180 yards in the NFL, especially being one of the top players. They played totally different the second time. They did not even play man the second time at all. So that statement of him playing man and beating me up all game is not very true. If you see the film, you can see it. So basically, he kind of retorts back because he's just been talking a lot of smack. And to be honest, Jaire Alexander, is he talented? Yes. Is he going to do this to Jefferson the next time they play? Absolutely not, because I feel like the Vikings have learned from that mistake of I wouldn't say that Jaire shut him down. I said this after the game, too. The Packers' defense shut the Vikings down that game. And we talked about that at length after that game. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on end zoners, I should add, too? What are your thoughts on Jefferson's comments back to Alexander, since he's just been talking about that whole thing this whole offseason? What are your thoughts?
I think the only thing that's really a fluke in all this is basically Jaire Alexander thinking that he is a premier level corner in the NFL. Literally up until this past season, his whole career has been trash to begin with. I mean, he has been very easy to get around of in a lot of big games, big situations. Jaire has not shown up, and literally you get him at one point after a team has already won the division. They're just looking to get out there and get some game reps, and you think that you got the best of them is definitely needing consideration for some much needed help off the field, because that dude is just crazy to begin with, to think that he's going to beat Justin Jefferson again. They say that 180 yards is a fluke. That guy's whole last season was a fluke. He's been trashed from the very get-go. Yes, he played for a big school in the SEC, but literally 97,000 people have played in the SEC, and literally a tenth of that have actually played in the NFL too. Congratulations, you're in the NFL, but you're still trash. And the fact that you're going after a guy that has beat you and beaten you regularly, let's just wait for week 8 to show up, and then on Sunday night on New Year's Eve and see which dog is going to, take a crap on the sidewalk and let them know whose yard it is.
I like that. And, the one thing that angers me the most is, of course, the referees don't call it right after he does the gritty. I mean, isn't that technically taunting in some aspects? So again, there's favoritism there. So I mean, I don't know. It's very frustrating to me why he thinks that he's that good. And the thing is he's all about himself. If you've listened to him in interviews, if you've listened to him post-game stuff, he's all about himself. And he never really, credits the defense, he just credits himself. And he says he's a premier shutdown corner. He's not a shutdown corner. I can tell you that right now. Voldy, I want to go through some stats. So Jefferson's career versus the Packers has been quite successful. The first game, this was the COVID season. This was his rookie year, his first game ever. He had 2 receptions on 3 targets, 26 yards. It wasn't until week 3 till we saw him kind of break out. And then I believe Kirk Cousins was out the next time they played. Or no, I don't think it was. It was the Dalvin Cook game where Dalvin tore them up, screen game and whatnot. So he only had 3 receptions, 26 yards. The next time that the Vikings took on the Packers back in November 21st, 2021, 8 receptions, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, count them. Oops. And yes, Jaire Alexander was covering him that game. So what happened there? And let's not forget as well that Jaire Alexander was burnt toast against Adam Thielen. And you can look at some of those highlights. Adam Thielen was putting that kid to school. And the fact that, why isn't he going after, Thielen or everything like that? Because he's cooked him too. And that's all he does is talk. Yep. If you've seen him against, I think it was this past year, the Bills played the Packers Sunday night game. And Diggs and him were jawing at each other. So he does that to people. Yeah. He wants to get that reaction, and he feels like he's that guy. Well, here's the fact of the matter. Diggs had over 100 yards that game. He had 2 touchdowns. Oops. And, yeah, so how do you stop that, and how do you explain that? So I'm going to say this to all the Packer fans that are out there right now. Jaire Alexander is, in fact, overrated. You heard it here first. Jaire Alexander is overrated. He does nothing but this, and he doesn't prove it. Richard Sherman, he talked the talk and walked the walk. Jaire just talks. That's it. So He is overrated. If you disagree with me on that, fine. Let us know in the comments and in the chats. Hit us up. I mean, Jaire Alexander is overrated. The Green Bay Packers defense is very, very good. I have to admit that. So don't bash me for that. They have a good defense. Do not get me wrong there. But Jaire Alexander, I'm telling you, he's overrated. That's all I really have to say about it. So there's more to the quote as well. We won't have to read that, but I can't wait for Packers versus Vikings, which will be, I believe, around I want to say November. So they don't play them first game of the season, obviously. So
it's week 8 is the first time they'll
thank
play
you.
against
them.
Mm-hmm.
So week 8, we will get that matchup, and I hopefully O'Connell, I believe Jefferson's going to want some payback, and I think he's going to get it week 8. The thing is don't interact with him. Don't interact with Jaire Alexander. The one thing that you can do is just beat him. Beat him with your play. That's all you have to do. No talking, just beat the guy. And after the game, then you can cuss him out or things like that. So anyway, that's going to do it with that. Hopefully we don't have to hear from Jaire Alexander, because I am tired of hearing about Jaire Alexander. Hey, competition's fun. Let's do it. So, all right, let's look at this Minnesota Twins team. There's some good news. Royce Lewis is back. He's off the IL. Claps out. Before his injury, he was very good. He was killing it, man. And now that the Twins have him back, it's gone fairly well. And then we're going to talk about Minnesota native Matt Wallner. Is he kind of going to be the knight in shining armor for the Minnesota Twins? But, Voldy, let's start off with Royce Lewis. What impact do you think Royce Lewis will have coming off the IL and, contributing to the Twins, hopefully winning the division? What do you got?
I even got a chance to even watch the game a little bit today, and the early impact that he had, especially with, being able to hit from all fields. Because, even before he got injured, went on the IL too. I mean, he was hitting the ball and spraying it everywhere.
Right.
Playing much better defensively too, because we know that Juan Miranda had his issues defensively to start off the year, and obviously he's still down in AAA and nursing a couple of things along with that too. So, I mean, with Royce Lewis now finally getting a real chance to play, every day for the Twins too, it could certainly have the same impact that, like we said at the beginning of the year too, that with having Royce Lewis back in the lineup the same way that Juan Miranda did last season with the Twins, and just being a consistent a bat in the lineup near the top of the order, maybe a little bit at the power side as well for them, but also defensively too, because that's another thing the Twins have kind of struggled with as well, is just finding an overall consistent defensive alignment, because most of the year been all over the place with the team. Like literally we had Joey Gallo playing center field today. Yes, he's a Gold Glove outfielder, but honestly, I don't want Joey Gallo playing center field as much as I want me playing center field for the Minnesota Twins right now. I'd rather have him at first base. I mean, Donnie Barrels, Donovan Solano's been okay, but he could be better over at first base, I'll say that much. But Royce Lewis, obviously playing at third for the most, but giving Correa some time off as well with the bad foot, and at shortstop as well. That's been a very welcome sight as well. But the outfield alignment too, which we'll talk about with Mattwallner here, has just been all over the place. Just trying to get the right guys in the right spot, because the Twins have a lot of really good outfielders in the minor league system right now that are just sadly not getting the time that they need at the major league level because it's so crowded out there.
Yeah. So with Royce being back, I mean, this is something that they've been waiting on. They're finally getting healthy, and you saw how the Twins bounced back against Philadelphia and won that series. Mm-hmm. I watched the last game that they played in Philly, and they were lights out pitching wise. Sonny Gray played really well. He's starting to kind of get back to what he usually is a very good pitcher, good solid 2, I'd say, for our Minnesota Twins. So there's a lot of good pitching. Yes, there is. But the bats have gotten better. And I think you have to credit that to Royce Lewis coming back and Mattwallner being a catalyst on this team. Forest Lake native, by the way. He had his first Grand Slam last night. I think that is something that hopefully it's the beginning of something really special for the Minnesota Twins, because, Kepler's been playing better, which we've talked about. But I also think, too, that at some point you have to keep playing the guy that is playing the hot hand, right? And you want to have Wallner out there. And you mentioned, Voldy, there's a lot of moving pieces in that outfield. The question is where do you put all these guys? Yeah, you put Buxton out in center, or you have him DH, or you put him, and then you have Wallner out in left, right, wherever they put him. I almost feel like you keep Wallner in the lineup at this point, and you see what he can do, because he's been, like I said, he's been a catalyst to this team. So, Voldy, getting to Wallner here, I mean, would you say that this guy, the future's bright for this guy, and do you see him kind of being a starter, going into hopefully October here? What do you think?
I could definitely see him being a starter here for the Twins too. It just really all depends on the play and the bat that we have with Kepler. Right. Just how that's going to play out too, because I know we've been talking about the last couple seasons, especially at this trading deadline, like where they're going to move on from Kepler, where they're going to capitalize and maybe get something in return for him. This offseason is definitely going to be very prudent to see what Max Kepler is going to be worth on the market as well, to see what they can get for him with that bat that he does have, and obviously with the defensive play too. See what you can get for him. Maybe just swap him for a pitcher, or maybe some younger prospects as well. And you've got all these guys down in the minor league system. You have Kyle Garlick, you have Trevor Larnach, you've got Wallner, you've got Buxton, you've got Joey Gallo, you've got anybody and everybody that can play the outfield, and they are most likely playing the outfield, just because the infield is so loaded up now at this point too. It just really all comes down to what's Kepler going to be available to do for the most part. Yeah. Is it going to be a bat off the bench? Is Matt Wallner going to continue on with this hot streak as well, especially as we go here in these last month and a half here of the season too, looking towards clinching that postseason spot for the Twins?
So things are looking pretty good in general for our Minnesota Twins volley. They're 17-13 since they lost today, but since the All-Star break. So we're looking at this team, and yeah, they're a little bit above 500, so that's good now. We can kind of sit back and say, okay, they have an opportunity to win this bad division. And granted, you got to give some credit where credit's due to be able to do that, because the Guardians aren't very good. White Sox aren't very good at all. Detroit, I mean, I don't know why we're kind of struggling against Detroit, but they should be able to easily handle Detroit. And obviously the Royals aren't even in the conversation because they're that far down. So, we'll see how this all plays out to the end of the season, because they do have a pretty they have a schedule that's really not that tough. I mean, they don't have, these really good teams that they out of the in division teams. So, as long as they win their series, they're in good shape. So, hopefully Baldelli doesn't screw everything up. He's still doing the pull the guy out after 6 innings, even though they could go like 2 more, but it is what it is there. So we will keep an eye on how the Twins are doing, obviously, as they are getting towards the end of the season. Roycelewis back in action. We're happy about that. And Matt Wallner, Minnesota native, killing it. That grand slam was pretty sweet. I don't know if you saw it, Voldy, but
I did.
I like this kid. I like this kid. There's positive things happening. So that'll do it. That'll do it for Tater Tot Hot Take this week. Some good hot takes for this week, and obviously we'll keep you posted with Vikings, Twins, Wild, and the Wolves. We have some Wolves talk coming up for ARA, by the way, too. So be in tune for that. All right, it's time for some table topics, folks. It's been a while. I know I say that every time, but to be honest, we like to space it out so that we don't have, so that you guys can enjoy it. Have a little surprise come in, so you guys can go in the chats or in the comments or whatever you'd like to chime in on our table topics. So, without further ado, Voldy Zoners, let's get to some table topics.
The tables have been set. It's time for MinneZona's Table Topics.
All right, the table is set. It is time for some table topics. Tonight, we've got three really good ones. So, Zoners, please feel free to let us know in the chat what your thoughts are on these questions. And there's obviously a fact on one of these. And once we're done, we're on to the next one. And boom, I throw it back. So, our first one tonight, Zoners and Voldy, is going back to some days of, a little bit of Little League, maybe high school, college, things like that. Which flavor would you most enjoy in a sports drink? So, it could be, obviously, Gatorade, Powerade, whatever you want to put in to this, your favorite sports drink that you drink during games or sometimes even in your leisure time. I mean, I know I drink Gatorade, even though, if I'm not like playing any sports or anything, or Powerade or whatnot. So, Voldy, what's your top sports drink? What do you got? What flavor?
Right at the very top, I go to our guy, Coach T-Pain, Coach Trevor Payne. Right at the top there. I got to go with the orange Gatorade. Orange Gatorade followed by number 2, the yellow lemon lime. Those are the OG flavors right there. And you know what? You just can't mess it up. You just can't mess up those 2 flavors. They're instant go-tos right there, and you just can't go wrong with it at any point. But as a sneaky one too, let's go back to like youth summer teams traveling or what have you. Parents are in charge of, bringing the snacks. You get your, little, granola bars. You get like your bananas and little mandarin oranges, but also the Capri Sun fruit punch pouches. Those were an absolute game changer back in the day as well.
Ooh, that's some good ones. And we got our guy Nick Dahlhoff from Popcorn Bucket List. New episode out now. Make sure you check those guys out. Omni Entertainment, him and Ryne. I go grape all day, he says. Why did he have to take mine? Because that's exactly where I was going with mine. Voldy.
Too well.
Yeah. Voldy, I would always like even in, I would say, oh gosh, T-ball or, in-house league or whatever, there's nothing better than after a game when the parents are, like you said, are in charge of the snacks and all that stuff. There's nothing better when you go to a cooler that is just filled to the top with ice and just ice cold grape Gatorade. Oh my gosh. I would have at least 3 because it was so refreshing after a game. And you have your water, you have, Gatorade during the game and whatnot, but like you're so focused on playing the game and all that stuff, you forget to hydrate and whatnot. But like I'm telling you, after a game, holy moly, I'd go to town on those grape Gatorades. I'd probably say a close second for me, though, is fruit punch. There are some people that think that it tastes like medicine, per se, but it depends. I don't know. It depends on what your taste buds and, what you like in general.
Those people are called wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Ba-doom. The other one that I do really enjoy, I don't know, I kind of like this one better than the Gatorade one, but the Red Powerade. I feel like that one is very underrated. I like that.
Blue
I really
Powerade,
like, Blue Powerade is definitely up there with mine as well. So anything with the Raid, if you got Raid, man, you're doing well. And then one other one I want to bring up too, the Glacier Cherry. Have you had that one before, Voldy? Zoners, let us know.
I feel like I might have had that one before. It does sound familiar. If I saw it, I'd probably say, yeah, I had that one.
I did develop a taste for that one, which is actually very good as well. So I do highly recommend. But I got to go with the grape Gatorade. Oh my gosh, I could, so good. Very, very good. So, zoners, let us know in the chat what you guys think. If you've got a couple flavors, you don't have to do just one. You could do 2 as well. So throw it in there. All right. The fact on the back. Here we go. Gatorade was formulated in 1965 by researchers at the University of Florida. Did know that. If you've seen all the Gatorade commercials, you know exactly where it's from. To help the Florida Gators football team, who are struggling with dehydration and heat and humidity. No surprise there. I don't know. I feel like this fact was too. Yeah, I mean it's the swamp. Obviously.
Lame.
It's very hot down there. If you would, if you've been down to Florida during that time, especially right now in the summer, holy moly, it's hot. So, yeah. If you didn't know that about Gatorade, now you do. So,
yeah, you do.
All right. I almost got impaled by my card, but we're doing fine.
Wow.
All right, this one. Let's do this one. This I feel like there's some people that like the certain thing, and then there's some people that just can't stand certain things as well. So, which mascot, and it could be any sport, do you dislike the most? Again, which mascot do you dislike the most? It could be any team. It could be a Minnesota team. It could be anything. So, Voldy, zoners, I ask this of you. Which mascot do you dislike the most? Voldy, go ahead.
Okay. Well, let's see here. If I had to pick one that comes to mind, this one's going to be fairly controversial, I feel like, with some of our followers as well.
Okay.
Like, for reasons unbeknownst to me, myself, and only I, Goldie Gopher. I hate to say it.
Whoa.
Doesn't do it for me. No.
Oh, wow.
Goldie Gopher, especially the hockey version, can't do it. Football one, I'm perfectly fine with. But
okay.
The hockey Goldie Gopher, no, can't do it. I hate him. Hate him with a passion. Can't do it.
So
exactly,
just the hockey version.
Yes, just the hockey version. Yes, football, basketball, softball, volleyball, underwater basket weaving, perfectly fine. Just the hockey Goldie Gopher, can't do it. Can't do it.
Do you think that there is a underwater weaving, basket weaving sport at the U of M? Do we have any confirmation on that?
Hey, there'll probably be a pickleball team here pretty soon, the way that sport's growing. So, just saying. Another one I like to throw out there, too, Tampa Bay. Just anything besides the Buccaneers. Can't do Tampa Bay. Either hate Tampa Bay, hate the Lightning, hate the Rays with a deep burning passion. Their mascot, I hate him, too, just out of principle. But I just can't do Tampa Bay. Except for the Buccaneers. They're perfectly fine, so.
Here's something good from Nick Dahlhoff. True story. I got pecked on the head hard when I was around 10 years old by the Sioux Falls Canary. Wow. To this day, I have a fear of bird mascots. Well,
birds are terrifying to begin with. So
the only way that you'll conquer that fear is if you take the mascot's head off and bounce it around like a beach ball.
There you go. Hey-o. Nice.
All my STA guys know everything about that one. Shout out. Hermantown sucks. What? Did I just say that? Sorry. But, yeah, that's how you'll get over it. For me, I really don't like the Ohio State Buckeye guy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
It's just Brutus. Thank you. I don't like Brutus. I don't know what it is. I don't necessarily hate Ohio State. I'm kind of impartial. I mean, they're very good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't really like Brutus. The face is weird. He's got the weird hat. I don't know. He just looks weird, man. I don't really like the mascot to begin with there. Here's a mascot that I do that I kind of enjoy a little bit, which I get a kick out of as well. Victor Viking. I feel like multifaceted mascot, plays football, runs over kids during halftime. All the little leaguers out there, does it all. Dances, does the gritty, all that stuff. So I'll throw Victor out there. Voldy, what's your favorite mascot? Let's just go. Let's turn it around with a favorite mascot here. What do you got?
Yeah, before we get to favorite mascot, still another one that I hate is the Fighting Hawks mascot for the University of North Dakota. At one point, there was such backlash to the new. They decided to name the mascot in the statue that they built in front of one of the campus buildings there. They decided to name it Mike, Mike the Hawk, or just Mike, and then last name Hawk, and I'll let you try to say that.
Oh, yeah.
They took down the statue shortly after they put it up, and then decided not to name him Mike the Hawk, or just Mike.
Yeah, it's probably
Hawk
not
as well. So, yeah,
I think Rattel talked about that last time we had him on.
He did.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll have to get him back on. But favorite mascot, gotta go with Wally the Green Monster for the Boston Red Sox. Very family friendly, very lovable character as well. And you know what? Certainly my number one for sure.
Well, there you go. Let's go with that. So zoners, for some of you that have just tuned in, which mascot do you dislike the most? Go ahead and give your thoughts on that. All right, Voldy, here's most popular sports mascots. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Number 5. It's one that you just mentioned. Can you guess?
One that I just mentioned. Is it... What did I just mention? Oh, was it Wally the Green Monster?
You got it. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, wait, no, wrong one. Sorry. Don't do that. There we go. Number 4. This one, I don't think I've ever seen. Well, maybe I have. San Diego chicken?
The San Diego chicken. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's an older one from like back in the 80s and 90s. I don't know if this is still around, but
yeah, probably
it shows up
not.
at like Padre games mostly. I think it was back in the day.
Yeah, I'd say so. Number 3, Benny the Bull. No surprise there. I feel like very popular in the Jordan years, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that one doesn't surprise me. Number 2, this one doesn't either. Philly Fanatic. If you've been to a Phillies game, you would know exactly what kind of shenanigans the Philly Fanatic has gotten into.
Yep.
And whatnot. I have been to the Philadelphia Stadium and seen a Phillies game when they played the Twins, and the Twins did win. There you got it. Yep. But it was always fun. It's a funny. I totally forgot about that one. Number 1, Voldy. Do you have any guesses? Most popular.
Most popular mascot. Oh boy. Somebody that has a cult following, transcends sports altogether, instantly recognizable. Which of the big 4?
Oh yeah, baseball.
Sport? Baseball. Okay, so that helps eliminate. We already got the Fanatic. It's probably East Coast team. Maybe. I honestly have no idea.
You're when you said East Coast, I mean, you're on the right track. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Think of this mascot as a baseball.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Met.
Correct. Ding, a ding, a ding, a ding. Yes, Mr. Met. Even though the Mets have completely phoned it in. Shout out to Frank the Tank, Barstool Sports. But, Mr. Met, top most popular sports mascot. This was based on a 2010 study, so this is an old one, but it works. Yeah. It works, right? All right, last one. All right, let us know too on least favorite mascot. Throw it in there. This one gets a little sentimental here.
Yep.
This one actually pertains more to Voldy than to I. But how much do you want your child to follow in your footsteps? Voldy, Zoners, what do you got?
The answer would be none. I don't want them to follow my footsteps at all. Do your own thing. Live your best life. Do better than me. But honestly, though, if they did follow in my case, follows in my footsteps, I would be fine with it. As long as he's happy and loves what he does, I'm more than comfortable with it. But you know what? There's always bigger and better things that he can do. Never sell yourself short. And go out there and give it your all is what I would say on that. But, instant gut reaction, do I want my kids to follow my footsteps? The answer would be no, but you know what? There are worse things in the world, I guess.
Yeah, well said. I'm going to give you some claps there. Well said. Voldy, when you mentioned that, just think, if there happens to be Maddie C having a child as well,
right.
Just think. They go both. Your kid, obviously, with Case going if Case goes to SMSU, and then my child, boy or girl, goes to SMSU.
Yep.
Maybe they're calling play-by-play. It's how we lead the generations. They do their own show. They always do Minnesota Sports Live. Weirder things have happened. Just think. We can continue the legacy. If it's there, if SMSU's, I'm pretty sure it will be, but just think of it. Voldy, I agree with what you said too. If my kid were to follow in my footsteps on things, I would give my best insight, and all I want for them is to be happy. That's the main thing, and I will do whatever it takes to help them get to that spot. If it's something different, I will support them in any way I can. So that's how I would answer that if I had a child. which eventually I hope to have. All right. Excuse me. Ooh, I like this. This is good. Ooh, man. Father and son pro athletes. This is this one. I feel like, well, I can't believe this one's missing. I'm surprised, but anyway, I'll go through some of them here. Patrick and Patrick Ewing Jr. So you have the two Ewings. Cecil and Prince Fielder. That is a name I haven't heard in a while. Even though he played for the Brewers and whatnot, and the Twins are supposed to hate Milwaukee or whatever, I really liked Prince Fielder. I was a big fan of Prince Fielder.
Talk about a what-if career if he would have stayed fully healthy, man.
Yeah. Dude had an inside-the-park home run against the Twins.
Yeah, I think in my mind, if he would have stayed healthy and still be playing, I don't know if he'd still be playing today, he'd be a first ballot Hall of Famer in my mind.
Ooh, I like that. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Ed and Scott Spezio. I vaguely remember them. Yeah, definitely know those guys. Milt and DeJuan Wagner. I don't know that. I wonder if that's basketball. Maybe, I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
Let us know if you guys know, zoners. Okay, so here's the last one. Voldy, I want to see if you can get this one. So this is a football father-son duo. Okay?
Okay.
I'll give you the team that the father was on and the son was on. Okay?
Okay.
Raiders and Eagles.
Okay. Does the son currently play for the Eagles?
He does not. Not anymore.
Okay. So most notably, he played for the Eagles.
He played for the Eagles and he played for your Patriots. I'll add that.
Okay. Okay, it took me one direction. Oh boy, this is another tough one.
He also played.
The dad played. Okay, go ahead.
I will add one more for the son as well. He played for the Rams to start his career.
Rams, Eagles, Rams, or Rams, Eagles, Patriots. Okay. And the dad played for the Raiders.
Yep.
Oh boy.
They're DNs.
DNs. Oh, okay. That's the Longs. Howie
Correct. Ding, 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 ding. Yes. Howie and Chris Long. They're missing one here. The Griffies.
Yeah, the Patrick Mahomeses.
Oh, well, that too. Yeah. That's another good one. Man, we could list a bunch of them off this one. So, But that one was good. I like that one too. So, Table Topics is still going. Obviously, at some point, we'll probably run out and make our own, like we've said before on this show. Let us know what you guys thought of our Table Topics, and it's time to move on to ARA. We got a lot of good ARAs this week. There's been a lot of controversy surrounding The Blindside. We're getting into that because I do want to talk about that. It's heartbreaking to me because I really enjoy that film and the story in general. But now it seems like the story was all fake, but we'll get to that as well. And then top-tier running backs, our guy Dalvin Cook signing with the Jets, Zeke signing with the Patriots, so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. And the Wolves got some new jerseys, so there's a lot to talk about here. So let's get it going. What's some absurd or approved?
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, starting with our own Minnesota Timberwolves, they unveiled a brand new jersey that will be part of their City Edition uniforms for the 2023-24 season as well. So they're paying homage to the land of 10,000 lakes as they unveiled a new jersey that will have in lake blue and have a custom crafted artistic pattern of lake water texture, which was unveiled on the shores of Lake Minnetonka. About the bougiest way you could do a uniform unveil in the state of Minnesota. Might as well be on Lake Minnetonka. Pulled out all those stops. Mike Conley and Nas Reed were there in attendance as well. They had a performance from Rochester, Minnesota's own Young Gravy. Apparently he was there too performing. But at the end of the day, I feel like the Timberwolves really dropped the ball, pun intended on this one, turned it over, if you will, in just how they really put it all together. Like, they put out a really cool drone video of the uniform debut. I think this was literally happened today, and the uniform unveiling came out over the weekend as well. Took place on Sundays when it was. But unfortunately, it just felt like they just didn't really give it their all when it came to unveiling a new uniform. But looking at of course, the photos of it and also seeing it on players and obviously Young Gravy as well, is it absurd to approve this new jersey tops all other alternates from most recent years for the Timberwolves?
I wouldn't say it tops a good chunk of them. And the reason why I say that is because they're okay. A lot of people are bashing the jerseys that they have, and to be honest, they're not as bad as they seem. I do kind of like them. I don't love them, but I do think that they're actually kind of cool. I kind of like the trim that they have. They have a little white in there, but again, this is for the 10,000 likes type of thing, which is kind of cool. But it doesn't top the jerseys that they've had, like the Prince ones that they had. I kind of liked the lime green. Whatever. I mean, do they still wear the lime green? Do we know? I mean, I missed that one. I really like the lime green one that they had.
That was an interesting one. I don't know if they dumped that one to the side or not, but I haven't seen it in a couple years.
Yeah, well, blame Jimmy Butler, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I do remember there was one with his number with the lime green. But I feel like they should go back to that at some point here because those are sick. And then there were the black midnight ones. I forget what they called them. I don't know, like the city. Was it a city edition one? I can't remember. I like that one more. So, no, I don't think it's as good as those ones. But I don't hate it as much as some of the people on the social medias does. I actually don't mind it. I think it looks fine. Will I buy one? Probably not. But I want the lime green back. I really want the lime green back. And hopefully we're able to get that. But no, it does not. So I say it's absurd. So, all right. Voldy, what do you got?
Well, I think compared to some of the other ones that they've had in recent years, the ones that really come to mind for me have been like like they did the homage to like the early 2000s ones where they had the black with the trees on the trim of the shoulders there too, and then they had the royal blue ones with the green to pay homage a little bit to the early, like the very first Timberwolves teams. The Prince ones were good too. I like those ones. And yeah, I'm always a sucker for a good alternate color one. The lime green ones were pretty sweet too. But beyond those ones, this one just the way they unveiled it really soured on me real quick, just because they could have tried harder is the thing. They could have put out the hype video and then did the unveil, but they went it the other way with the unveil and then the hype video, which really just added more questions than answers to that one too. But I think it really comes down to they could have tried a little bit better with this one. Yes, landed 10,000 likes. Hey, that's great, but still the team is not very good, ? But compared to all the other ones, this one does not certainly hold water in this case compared to all the other ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're okay. Yeah. I'll just go with that. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
So we head to the NFL, where some of these top running backs that have been on the free agent market have finally found some teams here in recent days, including ex-Cowboys running back Ezekielelliott has now joined the New England Patriots on a one-year deal, while on the other side, former Minnesota Vikings running back Dalvincook has now signed a one-year deal, $8.6 million to sign with the New York Jets to add that to their ongoing onslaught of acquisitions from the offseason to make this round of Hard Knocks on TV, which I have been watching very closely, that much more interesting. So can't wait to see the new episode coming out here this following week. But looking at how these two players coming in middle of training camp towards honestly, the back half of training camp here pretty soon, with some of them playing their second, if not their third games coming up, at least their second games coming up here this week, and them getting acclimated to start off. And if they are going to make an impact for this team, how much of an impact? Is it absurd or prove that both players will rush for at least 750 yards this season for their respective teams?
Well, I can tell you one thing. Dalvin's going to get that. Zeke is a question mark. And if you have been watching Ezekiel Elliott these past couple of seasons, the explosiveness has pretty much gone. I feel like he has now solidified himself as a short yardage back. There's wear and tear on those tires for Zeke, and I don't think he's going to hit the 750 for rushing. But I could also see them the Patriots being kind of like prove it. I do kind of find it surprising that Belichick would go and get Ezekiel Elliott. I know they kind of pushed for Dalvin a little bit, but I feel like the price tag might have been too high there. But I think ever since, I'd probably say the draft, Dalvin's wanted to go play with, unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers. But Dalvin, I think, is going to get to that point because Dalvin he's only 27 years old. Hopefully he stays healthy. I think the one thing that kind of hampered Dalvin a little bit is staying healthy for a full season. But again, you play running back and it's a tough, it's tough sledding. But there's no denying Dalvin's talent. But no, I think it's absurd. I think Dalvin will, but I don't think Zeke will because I think the Patriots are going to struggle, especially in that tough division that is the AFC East. So,
right.
Yeah, I'd say it's absurd. I think Zeke might get to like 500 or something, but he has, each year that he's played, it's gone steadily down for Ezekiel Elliott. So, yeah, I think it's absurd. But, Dalvin being a Jet there, doesn't surprise me. Hopefully he does well. So, Voldy, what do you think?
The one thing that both these guys have coming into their situations, too, especially with Dalvin especially, is he doesn't have to be the number one guy. He is going to be. This is true. If he can be the number one guy, that's great for the Jets, but he doesn't have to be. They do have Michael Carter. They do have Breece Hall coming off the knee injury, too. And they've got like two other guys in that running back room. Probably won't make the roster to start off, or they'll probably end up on the practice squad or something. But Dalvin doesn't have to be that number one guy to shoulder the burden. And in this case, the shoulder is the question as well. How's that going to hold up here? It's going to be nice for him, especially in the back half of the season, especially these young guys that, have played bits and pieces of a whole season. Dalvin's played multiple whole seasons as well, minus the year that he tore up his knee too. But he is the guy that can at least come in, be that veteran presence in that running back room. Now, will it be 750 yards? I highly doubt it. I even wanted to put the mark at 500 for these guys, but that would probably be an insult for them. And then you look at the situation with Zeke Elliott and also with the Patriots too. They've got their number one guy. They've got Ramondre Stevenson. The Patriots have just had a revolving door of guys coming in and out of that running back room since like 2007, it seems like. And it just like every 2-3 years, they just turn over guys. They have like one guy back from last season, and here's two new guys to go in. And this is turning into another situation where they bring in that veteran running back to be a complimentary piece in their number one. They do have Ramondre Stevenson, guy out of Alabama as well. Zeke Elliott, it'll probably be the same situation it was in Dallas. Yeah. Stevenson's going to, he's going to ride it for, 7-8 plays a game, and then Zeke's going to come in, score the 1-yard touchdown while Ramondre Stevenson gets the short end of the stick on that one. very much how Tony Pollard was the last couple seasons down in Dallas with Zeke, getting all those touchdowns, and Tony Pollard wouldn't get anything unless he busted off a run for, 50, 60 yards or something like that. Same situation again. And again, the Patriots went with the cheaper option here. I mean, they're only going to be affected to up to, even if they're lucky, if Zeke has a career year, $6 million on a 1-year deal. I mean, that's chump change compared to all the other guys out there. And then you got Dalvin, the 1 year, $8.6 million. A little bit more of a hit here, but of course the younger back as well. Hampered with injuries. Obviously the shoulder the last few seasons has been questionable. Some fumbling trouble as well too. But the Patriots got the cheaper deal and just hope that maybe it revitalizes Zeke Elliott a little bit more in a fresh place. And you know what? Maybe provides a little bit of thumb. $750 for Zeke. I mean, I could see it. The Patriots, their line has definitely got to address a few things too and be a lot more consistent than they were the last couple seasons, because their quarterback's getting beaten around a little bit with Bailey Zappi and obviously Mac Jones as well. With them behind too and not giving them enough time to be able to throw the ball. So if that line holds up, I could definitely see Zeke Elliott getting $750 this year, and hopefully Ramondre up around that same number as well too. So for Zeke, I think it's got my stamp of approval. For Dalvin, I think it's absurd. I don't think he'll get $750 this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the Jets incorporate their offense now. Obviously, you have Rodgers, and now you add Cook, Breece Hall, Michael Carter to that mix, and like you said with Hard Knocks, and I don't know. I'm starting to kind of sort of warm up to Rodgers a little bit. I don't hate him as much. Not anymore. I don't hate him as much.
When he was on the Pat McAfee show the last couple seasons, I'm just like, he's just making it so much harder to hate him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's funny. He's relatable. He's weird, but he's a starting quarterback. He shouldn't be weird, but he's a weird dude. And that just means that we're all just weird dudes, apparently. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is a weird guy, then you know what? Fair enough. We're all just weird dudes, I guess.
I mean, this team wants to win, and they want to win now. So, I mean, apparently, with the Jets.
They're going to go the Tampa Tom route here and get 1 year, just 1 year, throw our chips in, win a championship, see if we can make it 2 in a row, but we'll see what happens this year. So
sometimes when you do that, though, you get burned, so we'll see. We'll see with the Jets. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, this is a very uncomfortable, weird conversation to have here, but Major League Baseball is placed Tampa Bay Rays shortstop wanderfranco on the restricted list as an investigation has been launched in his native Dominican Republic after a multitude of social media posts have been put out there questioning his relationship with a younger woman. Now, wanderfranco is 22 years old, and apparently this relationship that he has with this female in question is 14 years old. So that raises a few eyebrows in many different ways as well. Shortly after the post came out and questions were being asked, the Rays pulled him out of the lineup, and the league is launching an investigation over said relationship as well. I should say there is a investigation taking place in the Dominican Republic. Major League Baseball is standing side here by putting him on the restricted list, so he can't play right now. It's a very difficult way to kind of navigate things right now, but putting him on the restricted list just seems to be the beginning of the end. It has in the past for many other players in the past as well. But do you think it's absurd or approved? Should there be a harsher punishment set in place right now for wanderfranco as the investigation begins?
Well, man, this one is this is a very touchy subject.
Touchy, yeah.
Very, yeah. The main thing right now is I think they need to gather information, and is there a harsh? I can't think of a harsher punishment right now. Now that I'm looking at this, but at the same time, I mean, could it be nothing? I don't know, but 14 years old, like you mentioned, I mean that is just that's not good. I don't know if you want to. I don't know how much evidence there is right now. I'm not sure if there's anything that has been proven, but they have to investigate and they have to see what they can find. I think this is the best route to put him on this, and if they find out any truth to whatever's going on, if this relationship and whatnot going on, then you cut all ties. Absolutely, you get them off the team. You get rid of them. Because you can't have that. That is absolutely disgusting if true. But I don't know what a kind of punishment. Maybe even they could have just said he's done for the year. I'd be totally fine with that, just so that they can be thorough in this investigation and whatnot. So this is very disturbing, I will say. So hopefully the truth comes out here, and we'll see what happens. So I got it. I give it my stamp of approval because they're kind of giving it some time just to see what kind of facts they can dig up from this, especially with social media. I mean, yikes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Right now they are gathering evidence right now, so that's where we're at with the investigation currently. Claims themselves are definitely not very family friendly right now. So,
right.
I mean, going into what we know and said suspicions on what is going on or with the investigation currently, you don't know until the findings are made clear. So, I mean, Major League Baseball is doing its due diligence, and he's going to be out for the next 6 games. At least that's what's with the restricted list is on. So basically about a week time period for him, a week span that is in time period for him right now. I think that's what you're going to have to deal with right now, and maybe in that time, that's what the evidence will take as long as it needs to be collected as well, that being with that week span as well. So, I mean, there really isn't much else that Major League Baseball can do other than just putting him on the restricted list, and we'll see what the findings do present here, and hopefully sooner than later as well, because this is definitely something that isn't seen too likely in the world of sports as well.
Right. This is very serious. So I'm sure they'll be very thorough. But yeah. Anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, for those who are a fan of the movie The Blindside and the story of Michaeloher and the family that adopted him into becoming and made him a part of the family and ultimately led him to football superstardom, well, that movie is now officially ruined for everyone. As the Tennessee family, as Michaeloher did make an announcement and release reports here earlier this week, that the Tennessee family accused by Michaeloher of tricking him into a conservatorship and taking all the proceeds from the blockbuster film The Blindside about his life, responded to allegations on Tuesday claiming that Orr did threaten to go public if his story did not pay him if they did not pay him $15 million. Now, it was the allegations thrown out basically that Orr said that the family, the whole story about the adoption was made up, wasn't real. They basically brought him in as a kind of like, like the whole Britney Spears thing with the whole conservatorship.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't able to make decisions for himself. They made the decisions for him and ultimately led to him, obviously being a promising football star into college, in the NFL, ends up winning a Super Bowl as well with the Ravens too in that point. And now it's all starting to come to a head. The family, the Tuohy family that was responded as well, said that Orr threatened to go public with his story, basically saying that he was tricked into everything, wasn't really adopted by the family unless the family paid him $15 million. And obviously we know that The Blindside is a very beloved sports movie and beyond sports as well, family movie as well. Sandra Bullock, it's got also Tim McGraw, and many other actors and actresses that are very prominent from those movies too. Right. And now seems to have left a little bit of a dark cloud over the film as well. Looking at all the allegations back and forth between each other as well, is it absurd or will you and the zoners as well be able to watch The Blindside the same ever again?
No, because I it completely has now ruined it. Having two sides, or I mean both sides, I will say.
Right.
It's just, I swear I didn't make it as a pun. I didn't try to, at least, but it's just kind of funny. Blind side. Now there's two sides to the story now, which is just insane. So I've been seeing on the socials medias, and I'm sure you have too, about some people are against the tuohys now, and pretty much saying that that they did this out of making money and all that stuff. Yep. But then there are I don't know how big, but there is a small number of people that think Oher is doing this so he can, because he's essentially not getting any income after his NFL career.
Yep.
And saying that he's just doing it to get money. So what side do you believe? And that's why I'm kind of like, let's see how this plays out. Let's figure out what's true, what's not true here, and go from there. Because I don't want to say, well, it's the tuohys. They're the ones that, that completely screwed him and made money off from the movie. But is this just, maybe that's not true. Maybe this is a ploy by Oher because he's just run out of money too. I don't know, but I know this. The movie now, Sandra Bullock did a fantastic job in portraying his mother, and now it's completely ruined, and she won an Oscar for it, for God's sake. And now we're sitting at square one here, which is not good. And so now it's a bad sign. And I really can't watch that movie again now that Oher says one thing, the tuohys are saying the other thing. I mean, it's like Marvel Civil War, Captain America versus Iron Man, but now it's the tuohys versus michaeloher. Right. Yeah, I can't look at it the same. I really can't. And my childhood has been a lie. It's been a lie. No, I'm just kidding. No, not my old child, obviously. I gotta do this though. That's for sure.
Oh my God, Kirko!
I gotta chill. I gotta chill a little bit. Thank you, Christian Darrisaw. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts?
I'd be very surprised if I see this movie on TV coming up here in the next few weeks.
30 for 30.
If I ever see it ever again for that point as well, just because you don't know who to believe, and this is not going to end well for anybody, as we've seen in recent years too, with the whole conservatorship as well, and people making decisions for others because the other is either tricked into it or is too mentally unstable to make their own decisions, a la Britney Spears as well, but Britney got out of that conservatorship as well. This one was just taking advantage of, supposedly, and again, these are all allegedly, taking advantage of a misadvantaged youth in a poor neighborhood, bringing him in, and obviously did see some potential talent in him, becoming a rising football star into the NFL, and, well, lo and behold, from that point, the deals just kept coming in, business deals, and, using his name, image, and likeness. Obviously, the movie coming through as well that became very successful, very popular, and is beloved by a lot of people as well. This is not going to end well for anybody in my mind, and I don't know who to trust right now is the question, because obviously with michaeloher retiring from the NFL, what comes after? Does he, what's he doing for his main source of income? Because I know that life after the NFL and having some sort of purpose is not exactly very easy for a lot of guys. And some of them do end up with financial issues and having to find their way back into the world of just, day-to-day living beyond that point. And some people, unfortunately, don't make it, whether they do, financially, physically, mentally, or emotionally from that part as well. And then on the other side of it, you see from the tuohy standpoint is like, did they have some sort of underlying meaning of bringing this, bringing this person into their family and, obviously seeing what they could do with him? I mean, this is all just completely, you don't know what to believe. It's going to turn over one rock or another. And I mean, this is not. I mean, I certainly can't. I don't think I could ever watch it again because the way things very early on. This is only a couple of days after said first allegation was thrown out, and the media. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to watch that movie again. It's just going to leave a weird taste in my mouth, and definitely not going to be the same movie as I've seen before. Way too many potential issues out of all of it. So,
I think this is interesting though. So their lawyer for the tuohys, something singer, said that the family will not oppose the termination of their guardianship, but will not hesitate to defend their good name, stand up to the shakedown, and defeat this offensive lawsuit.
Wow.
This is, I mean, this is very ugly, and it's sad. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is sad. Like, why can't they, I mean, what is going on is my big thing. So, man, they need to just get in a room, sit down, talk this out. That's all I feel. They should do this. But I doubt that's going to happen. I mean, I don't think he's talking to any of them right now. So, we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully I can, like, get back to some semblance of that movie and say, oh, I can watch that again, even though they worked things out. I don't know if they're going to work this out. I just don't know. So, all right, last one, Voldy.
So we go back to the world of the NFL and something that's kind of, turned a few heads here in recent days and recent weeks as well. With the sale of the Washington Commanders away from Dan Snyder and Josh Harris and crew as well, the fandom of the Commanders, the commie faithful, if you will, have put something back out to the forefront, just as something to maybe, maybe just something to put out there. An online petition has been put out on change.org asking the Washington Commanders to revert back to their original team name, the Washington Redskins. This has also reached well over 100,000 signatures and being reached over. And this is well over 100,000, if not 150,000, and it's only gone up here in recent days as well. So much so that even a national Native American organization group, I believe it was the Native American Guardianship Association, did announce that they do support said change back to the Washington Redskins name as well, in light of the Washington Commanders sale to Josh Harris and corporation and group, the group led by Josh Harris, I should say. And this is saying that even in a recent poll as well from a group, yes, the Native American Guardians Association, that's the group that has voiced their support of the Redskins name and logo. In a letter that was signed by the group's founder and president, Eunice Davidson, the group points to a recent poll that was put out saying that 90% of Native Americans did not find the Redskins name offensive. The group has also pointed out that there have been other sports teams. You throw out like the Kansas City Chiefs, you throw out also Blackhawks as well that have kept their Native American names as well out there, and also have not even voiced any consideration of changing their names. But yet the Redskins were the one that bit the bullet. Of course, we did have the Washington football team for 2 seasons or a season and a half or whatever. And then you had, of course, the Fighting Footballs, if you will. And then you go to the Washington Commanders and that whole debacle of a name unveiling as well when that happened previously too. But is it absurd or approved? You look at everything that has taken place with the end of the Redskins, the Fighting Footballs of the football team, and now the Washington Commanders as well. With the new ownership group, is it absurd or approved? Will we see the new ownership group change the commies back to the Redskins within the next 5 seasons?
Well, if I think Magic Johnson said everything's on the table here for the teams. Absolutely. And I mean, if this doesn't offend, Native Americans and whatnot, you found 90% of them, and hopefully there is a lot of merit to that as well. I don't see why not. There's a lot of history with Washington as well, and they pointed out too that the Chiefs, the Blackhawks, like you said, have kept those names. So there's a lot that probably will have to be done. But it wouldn't bother. It doesn't seem like it would bother many people. And again, this is a team name that's been there a long time. And for them,
a football franchise,
right. And I think it's fine to switch it back. Now, here's where I think it could be interesting. Maybe they revamp the logo.
Bingo.
And things like that. And they revamp the logo. They revamp a couple things with the Washington Redskins. And they're able to, have it look really cool. I don't know if you've been on the social medias and or TikToks, but there's a person on there, an influencer, that has been revamping all the logos for each NFL team. Mm-hmm. And there's one that did the Vikings, which was kind of cool. I'd like it as like a secondary. Right. But I wonder what they would do with that one. I wonder if that's been brought up, because I think if they're able to design something that's really cool or something like that, I'd be all in on that. But I think if they'll redesign the logo, make it look cool and whatnot. But again, if there's really no problem with it, especially with these petitions and everything like that, I think in the next 5 years. So I'd say it's got my stamp of approval, Voldy. What do you think?
And that was one point that I was going to bring up, too, especially if they do go back to the Redskins, is you got to revamp that old logo, too, because you look at the history of the Washington Redskins, they've had the image of the Native American, head on the side of the helmet, too, but there were some points during their history as well where they had, like, the spear with the feathers, kind of like with Florida State and their helmets, too. That's a popular one. Or they had, where the logo was the circle with the Indian head and the feathers. Instead of the Indian head, or the Native American head, I should say, they had an R for Redskins on there. That was a popular one as well. Yeah. Somehow incorporating all of that, but also bringing in some of the, the Native American groups as well that do voice their support of the logo, and maybe those that would want to voice their displeasure and say, okay, we're keeping the name, but what do you want or don't want to see from the logo as well?
Right.
How can you incorporate that, making it obviously, culturally sensitive as well? Because we know that the Redskins logo came during a time where everything was just up in the air, uncertainty in the middle of COVID, coming off George Floyd, making sure that we mind our P's and Q's while breathing correctly at the same time as well. Everything was on the table. Everybody was pissed off about something one way or another. And, personally myself, I could see why people find the name offensive as well, because Redskins, obviously a derogatory term for the indigenous population at the same time. But as long as you acknowledge that, yes, this is culturally insensitive, and you did go through the process of changing it as well, I would like to see, obviously, the history of the team as well be kind of preserved in that way. But people always bring up my heritage is not a mascot or something like that, or things of that sort. Me personally, I'd like to see the Redskins come back, because saying the Commanders and all that too, it's too clunky, and people are still saying Redskins to this day too, even though the Redskins hasn't been a thing for at least 3 seasons now at this point. People are still calling the Washington team the Redskins as well, even when they were the football team, and now the Commanders too. Me personally, could I see it within 5 years? I think absolutely. Like you brought up too with Magic Johnson, everything's on the table right now. As long as I feel like also, as long as people are properly compensated for their disgruntledness of said logo, I think anything can happen at this point.
There's been some talk about the Washington Red Tails. Kind of with the, I don't know, that there's a lot that can be factored into it in honor of the Thuggy Airmen and whatnot. So I don't know. I feel like they're, like Magic said, everything's on the table. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, that's gonna do it for Air A this week. Great job, Voldy, as always. And Shield shoutouts. We got some shoutouts tonight, and then after Shield shoutouts, I want to bring something up that happened on this day 14 years ago, which is interesting. But it's very silly, but I want, this is on the Facebooks, and I think you might get a kick out of this one. But let's get it going with some Shield shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
So we got to send a big Shield shout out as the team continues to crumble more ways than one. The Boston Bruins said goodbye to longtime for David Krejci as he played over 1,000 career games with the Bruins and ultimately winning the Stanley Cup in 2011 with the team. Now joining alongside with Patrice Bergeron. We know that even Zdeno Chara retired recently as well. So everybody is going by the wayside from that 2011 Stanley Cup team as well. That just leaves more and more holes for the Bruins coming up here this season. But you know what? Best of luck to David Krejci in his next endeavor as well for him as he begins his life in retirement. Also do have to send a big congrats and shield shout out as well to Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, Tony Parker, Pau Gasol, even Greg Popovich, and South Dakota's very own Becky Hammon as they were inducted into the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame over the weekend as well. A star-studded group that they had with that Pro Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony as well. A lot of great names and more continuing to find their way into the hall as well. And, well, that's going to do it for Shield Shoutouts here this week.
Well, there you go. The Pro Basketball Hall of Fame, I almost feel like that was a star-studded Hall of Fame class right there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That is a star-studded Hall of Fame class. D. Wade, one of my favorite NBA players of all time. Just like the way he carried himself and whatnot. There's been some bumps in the road with him, but also, I still think he's one heck of a basketball player. So we got that going. All right. Great job with Shield Shoutouts, as always, Voldy.
Thanks, sir.
So I just happened, how Facebook, on the Facebook socials medias, they have memories on there. And I like to look at those because, there's a lot of cool, things that you pick up. But then there's some things that are just cringe, too. Not saying this thing was necessarily cringe, but 14 years ago, apparently I went to a Twins game, and this is what I said. Matt Callahan is at a Twins game today. Wow, Nick Blackburn is a terrible pitcher.
You're not wrong.
I wasn't wrong. I will say that. I was not wrong in that sentiment. And again, sorry, Nick Blackburn, but 14 years ago, I did not think you were a very good pitcher. But I just think I just got a kick out of it because it's like, oh my gosh. It's just like there's some things that you post on it, you're like, what was I thinking back then? I mean, am I just a moron? Basis. Yeah. There's some things that you're like, why did I put that? But there's some things where you're like, oh yeah, that's a great memory. And then there's some that you're like, dang, why is this on here? So, just wanted to throw that little tidbit out there. So,
yeah.
But if you want to cover that embarrassment, you can buy merch. You can just buy MinneZona merch, and Voldy's got it right there. Our stickers, they're starting to sell. Our new ones are starting to sell. As you can see, we got the bumper stickers, which are $3. Bigger size ones, $3. The smaller size ones, it, $2 as well. So a very good buy if you want new stickers and whatnot, and we will send them to you. Yes, check out the Shield Shoutouts stickers as well. Those have been selling as well. All right, make sure you check out our stock of shirts as well. We've got shirts going for $20, $5 shipping. Still, the limited edition gray shirt, MinneZona Sports Live, extra large is still available. So make sure you check that out. Thank you to National Freely Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers as well. Make sure you check out W2 Performance, Will Rattel, at www.w2performance.com. We are itching to get him on, and these guys as well. The victorious P.O.D. with Tyler, Hermann, and Jack Vickers. Fantasy football season is heating up, baby. So make sure you check out all the cool things with them. They just did a mock draft, so check that out. Make sure you check out TLS Performance with Troy Stoudemire Jr., our guy. And then check out Popcorn Bucket List. Nick Dahlhoff, Ryne, Myhrberg, Omni Entertainment. They've got content. So make sure you check them out as well. So, yeah, that's going to do it for episode 160. Hard to believe. We will be off next week. Just an FYI to all the zoners. Yes, I know. It's tough. It's tough, but you know what? There are some things that have to be done, and, you know, we have a great time bringing you the show, but football is starting up. So when we are back, we'll be coming back in full force, baby. So keep up to date on content and obviously segments from the show. And, we'll keep you guys in tune with everything MinneZona. So, without further ado, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla!
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.